10 Best Wrestlers in WWE. Number 10. Andre the Giant. For non-wrestling fans, Andre the Giant was the larger-than-life presence in The Princess Bride, but for everyone else, he is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. 7 feet 4 and 520 pounds. Andre the Giant had a notable, must-watch rivalry with Hulk Hogan at the end of his career, leading to matches in places like New York's Shea Stadium to the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan for WrestleMania 3. Despite being one of the biggest names in professional wrestling, Andre the Giant didn't have many title reigns, but his size and strength were more of a draw for fans than his accolades. A great performer, he was known more for his presence than his skill in the ring. That said, he was always a fan favorite whose heart matched his enormous stature. Number 9. Triple H. Before he was the chief content officer of WWE, Triple H was dusting it up with the greatest wrestlers of all time in the ring. Triple H came on the scene as a heel and continued in this capacity for much of his career. With a gruff voice and hulking frame, it was easy to see him as a villain. However, that doesn't mean he didn't have the charisma to draw crowds in. Much of Triple H's popularity was earned during his time as the leader of D-Generation X, a tag team that defined the Attitude Era, and Raw is War for WWE. A performer who was always willing to adapt his gimmick to match the wrestling business and the fans' desires, Triple H remained relevant and kept winning titles until his retirement in 2022. Number 8. Mick Foley. Mick Foley has played many different roles in wrestling, from his popular anti-hero character Mankind to Cactus Jack to the mellow and entertaining Dude Love. Foley's a legend, in part because of the way he was willing to sacrifice his body for the sake of the match. Foley's fearlessness meant he was willing to let The Undertaker throw him off of the Hell in a Cell cage, and he cut himself in the ring regularly to make his performances look more realistic. He was even injured by barbed wire on several occasions. Foley was constantly changing his persona, which kept fans invested. He was a gifted wrestler, as entertaining in his promos and vignettes as he was in the ring. His championship reigns, including 4 solo championship titles and 11 tag team titles, are still fan favorites that defined the Attitude Era. Number 7. Roddy Piper. Unlike many other wrestlers, Roddy Piper didn't debut as an in-ring talent. Instead, he was a manager for another wrestler, which led to him starting feuds and working as an in-ring performer. As part of the former WWF, Roddy Piper captured fans with his personality before he showed off his wrestling prowess. Throughout his various matchups, though, he showed he could back up his microphone skills with his physical feats. Piper joined WCW in the 90s, which reignited his long-standing feud with Hulk Hogan, who was then wearing a black hat as a part of NWO. However, despite these ongoing spats, Piper and Hogan were actually partnered up in the WWE more often than they fought. Number 6. Bret the Hitman Hart. Bret the Hitman Hart is one of the greatest technical wrestlers to ever work in WWE. Hart and his brother-in-law, Jim Neidhart, were also among the most revered tag teams as part of the Hart Foundation. He developed an infamous rivalry with Shawn Michaels that ended in 1997 when Hart unexpectedly lost a match in the infamous Montreal Screwjob that helped drive him out of the WWE. Hart won the Intercontinental Championship in 1991 and transformed the title into an important championship. Hart also held the WWF Championship 5 times. Truly dedicated to his craft, Bret Hart was one of the most popular wrestlers of his time and set the standard for many wrestlers. Number 5. Ric Flair. The Nature Boy Ric Flair is one of the most recognizable faces in wrestling, with a career that continues to evolve. Despite being 74, Ric Flair only recently stopped wrestling. After coming out of retirement yet again, Flair wrestled for AEW in his final match. However, he had several notable last matches throughout his career, adding to his legend as an all-time great performer. Flair's longevity is part of why he's considered the most outstanding wrestler of all time. Officially, Flair has had 16 title reigns, matching John Cena's record. But no wrestler has brought the same energy and style to the ring as Ric Flair. He was an effective heel for much of his wrestling career and has passed his skills down to his daughter Charlotte, who continues the family legacy. Number 4. Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels posing in the ring. WWE 1990s Shawn Michaels, otherwise known as the Heartbreak Kid, got his start as part of the tag team known as the Rockers but shined as a singles competitor. Michaels thrived as a villain and used the less desirable aspects of his persona to elevate his character. He was cocky and vain, and the fans loved it. Michaels' infamous rivalry with Bret Hart is still one of the biggest controversies in wrestling and had outside of the ring ramifications. Much of Michaels' wrestling career is defined by his time in D-Generation X with Triple H and Chyna. He became known as Mr. WrestleMania for the sheer number of matches he competed in at the yearly event. Michaels is retired but is still a part of the WWE, helping find new talent in NXT. Number 3, Stone Cold, Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin was one of the most popular wrestlers in WWE in the 1990s and early 2000s. His rivalry with The Rock is still considered one of the best feuds in the history of WWE. Stone Cold produced some unforgettable catchphrases, like, "That's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so," and created a call and response with fans that still continues even though Steve Austin isn't an in-ring personality anymore. Austin competed at some of the most important WWE events, including WrestleMania and SummerSlam, and took home championships, solidifying his place as one of the best wrestlers in the world. Number 2, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has expanded his career beyond the squared circle, but that doesn't erase his status as one of the most popular babyfaces in wrestling. The Rock continued the Anoa'i family's legacy in the ring, and while his wrestling skills were excellent, his skills on the mic were unmatched. To this day, fans still have "Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?" on their lips. Even when he turned heel, fans rallied behind The Rock and wanted to see him win. His undeniable charisma made fans fall in love with him, and he continued his career in WWE even after he moved on to become one of Hollywood's top-grossing actors. Number 1, The Undertaker. The Undertaker had one of the most illustrious careers in professional wrestling. After 3 decades in the squared circle, he finally retired in 2020 and was subsequently inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2022. The Undertaker's undefeated streak of WrestleMania matches has never been rivaled and may never be again. Besides being a great technical wrestler, The Undertaker had one of the most immersive characters in the ring, and he reimagined it regularly. From the Deadman to the American Badass, the towering 6 feet 10 inches performer dominated in the ring and helped launch the careers of numerous other WWE superstars.